Good afternoon, everybody. We are coming to you live online from the Talmud Lunch and Learn, where we study every Friday afternoon a little bit of Talmud to infuse our Shabbos with more holiness and with more knowledge and wisdom and connection to Hashem. So, in this week's Parsha, we know that we had the plagues last week. We just finished up with the plagues in Parsha's Bo, the last three plagues, the death of the firstborn, with the splitting of the sea now. And the Jewish people are going through the sea on dry land. And we end up in the desert. We have nothing there. Nothing to feed ourselves from. So our sages point out that the Jewish people were all concerned, how are we gonna survive? How are we gonna survive in the desert? And what does God tell us? If I can take you out of Egypt and I can split the sea, you think I can't feed you? You think I can't feed you? Now, does anybody notice that on Friday night and Shabbos morning and Shabbos afternoon, all three meals that we have on Shabbos, we have two challahs. Why do we have two challahs? To commemorate something that happened in this week's Torah portion. And that is that the Jewish people received the manna. And the man descended every morning. They'd have enough food. It used to be, remember, they used to deliver those milk, the milk cartons, right? So this was like the delivery that came every morning. They got enough food for that day. But God doesn't want us to work on Shabbos. God wants us to relax and enjoy ourselves. Don't have extra toil, extra labor. God says, I'm going to take it away from you. You're not going to have to work Shabbos morning. You're not even going to have to go to your doorstep to pick up the food that's delivered. Rather, the manna will come as a double portion on Friday. And you'll have two portions that come to you on Friday. And, the commentaries explain that the holier one was, the more spiritual one was, the more they were able to feel the holiness through this experience of having the manna. Now, we know that there were some troublemakers. There always are troublemakers. There were some troublemakers who decided, you know what? We're going to try to trick the Jewish people. We're going to try to show that really there's no hand of God. Really, and it's a little bit shocking, right? Because here you have the 10 plagues, that each one was predetermined by Moses. Moses announced, Pharaoh, if you don't let the Jewish people out, guess what? You're going to have blood. Guess what? You're going to have frogs. Guess what? You're going to have each one of them. And everyone was on the mark. Exactly what Moses said, exactly what he threatened, exactly what was fulfilled. And then we have the splitting of the sea. We have the Jewish people living in unbelievable, miraculous times. And here we go. You have some people who are still doubting. So the question that I have is, how is it possible? So I'll just get to the details and then we'll talk about how it's possible for someone, after seeing so many miracles, to still have doubts. How is it possible? So what happened? So they decided Shabbos morning they're going to throw out the manna, they're going to put it out so that people will see, hey, there is manna Shabbos. And really, there's no such thing as Shabbat, or there's no such thing as taking a day off. And of course, what did God do? God created a miracle. What was the miracle? Anybody know what the miracle was? The birds came, and they ate up the manna. So the people tried, these individuals who tried to confuse the Jewish people, didn't have their way. They didn't have their way. And the birds came and ate it up. So how is it possible that people who just saw the greatest miracles, the people who just saw the splitting of the sea, who experienced it with their own flesh and blood, not only, and we mentioned this earlier, not only was there a miracle that there was a wind that came and split the sea, right? These scientists today who don't like God, right? Mm-hmm. And they want to try to continue to come up with proofs that God doesn't exist. So they say, you know what? If you have winds coming a certain angle and a certain, you can split the sea. You can split any water. You know what? God thought about that too. What does it say in the Az Yashir? In the song that the Jewish people sang to God to thank Him. Not only did God pass us through the water and split the sea, but also God brought us on dry land. That you can't do. You may be able to split waters, but to make that beneath it the soil should be dry, Bayabasha betoch hayam, it was dry, that you can't do. Even with your fancy wind. That's the hand of Hashem. So here they experienced all of this. And then we'll see further that the Amalekites, they come and they try to fight with the Jewish people. What happens with them? God has a barrier. What's the barrier? It's a cloud of glory that protects the Jewish people. And they shoot an arrow, the arrow goes back and shoots them back. And the Jewish people are saved and they're protected. So you see all of these miracles and yet you're still trying to undermine God? How's that possible? So how does that make any... It just doesn't make any sense. That someone would be so silly in trying to refute God after you've seen it all. It's like you say, you know what? God, I want you to show me that you're really there. I want you to make $200 fall right here on the table in front of me. And $200 fall right in front of me. He said, well, he started giving explanations. What's the explanation? No explanation needed. We saw the miracles. We've seen it with our own eyes. We've experienced it with our own bodies. How is it possible people can refute it? So you can have the same question on Pharaoh. So we know there's a principle in Judaism, is that we have the freedom of choice. You can choose. Should I make a right? Should I make a left? You're 50-50 in each side. God always makes the playing field even so that you can make a balanced decision. All right? So let me ask you a question. I remember when I asked my grandfather this question, I was probably 11 years old. I asked him, how is it possible that I have free will if God knows what I'm going to decide? Right? It's a known question. We've all heard that question. We've all asked that question. How is it possible that if God knows that I still have free will? So my grandfather gave me an 11-year-old's understanding of an example. He said, do you know how to play chess? I said, yes. He says, so what is the strategy of chess? The strategy of chess is to think about what your next move is going to be, and then what my move is going to be, then what your move means, to go ahead and play out the coming moves. So that way I can outsmart you and do something different, or and then to beat you. That's why the more moves I can move ahead of you, the better off I'll be in chess. So I know what your next move is going to be. Does that take away your free will? Right? It doesn't take away your free will. Just because God knows doesn't mean that he takes away your free will. You still have free will. Now I'm going to give you an example, right? I'm going to tell Howard the answer in advance, and you'll all see that I know better than you, okay, what you're going to choose. Okay? So now I'm going to give you all a choice here in my hand, okay? Pick which one you want. And I already know what you're going to choose. All right? So I want to know, does it take away your right to make a decision? So in one hand, I have a lollipop. On the other hand, I have a cockroach. Right? Which one do you want? Right? You want the lollipop. Aside for David. Okay, you have to, right? Right?
I can't eat sugar.
You can't eat sugar, so you might as well, dissect the I hear you. So the fact that I knew and I already told Howard in advance what everyone is going to choose doesn't mean you don't have a right. You still have an ability, right? But here's the challenge. When you have such insurmountable proof, such evidence of God's existence, where you see the miracles, so now the playing field has changed. The playing field is very, very, very different. Because here you have 1 million pounds of miracles versus no pounds of argument to it. So what does God do? Vayechezak et lev Paro. God had to make Pharaoh's heart, right? He had to harden his heart. Why? Just to even the playing field. Because if he doesn't, he can't make a decision between right and wrong, because he only has the miracles on one side. It's not even second choice. So in order for him to have a 50-50 decision-making power, God had to make his heart, harden his heart. And that's the same, I think this is the same idea with these individuals, these troublemakers. The idea is, yes, they saw all these miracles. But you have to want to see the miracles. If you don't want to see the miracles, they're not going to be miracles to you. They're going to be just regular coincidence. And we see people all the time dealing with challenges in life. And instead of saying, I saw the hand of God, it was like, well, the doctors were wrong. Doctors make mistakes too. No, it was a miracle. It depends on us whether or not we want to be those who see the miracle. Every Shabbos we have those two challahs. We have the opportunity to relive the experience of, this week was a miracle. Everything that happens this week, it's bringing us back. It's not just, we're not a memorial religion. We have a memorial day every day. Oh, today is Sunday because back in Egypt we had an exodus, so we're going to put on tefillin today, right? Because tefillin is supposed to remind us of the exodus. Oh, mezuzah, you know why we're going to put a mezuzah on there? To remind us. No. It's not only about memory. It's about living it now. So when we have those two challahs, it's not, you know why? Because back in the desert come on, everything's back in the desert? No, right now you can have that same experience. Right now we can either live with every Friday recognizing this entire week that led up to Shabbos was a miracle, to give us the bounty, to give us the success we need to rest on a day of Shabbos. Just like they did then, yes. Or we can live with, no, it's all me, I'm a shrewd businessman, and I know what I'm doing. And that's why, no. We have the two to remind us, every single Shabbos, that what you have here now, tonight we're all going to be sitting at our own Shabbos tables, or at someone else's Shabbos table. And we're going to see those two challahs. Remind yourself tonight that this is a separate miracle that you had this week. This is the manna that God gave you. He gave you everything you need so that you can have enough for Shabbos, so you can relax, so that you can rest. So we can see that same presence of God in the challahs that we have now as well. And live in an experience, in a relationship, where we're constantly living and recognizing those miracles. That is the thought for this week's Parsha. So with that, my friends, you're welcome to join us here live every week, in person, because the class will continue, but we're going to have to get offline. So you're welcome to like and share these videos so that your friends can learn more online. And we're going to continue here with our Talmud study and our delicious pizza. Thank you so much, Ed. Thank you so much, everyone, for your help in making this class so fantastic. And, of course, welcoming my parents here from New York who are joining us here today. So thank you all for watching, and we hope to see you here live, 12 o'clock on Friday at the Torch Center. Have a good Shabbos.